Hi and welcome to our video which will show you a day in the life of one of our Primary 1 learners. We have spent the day focusing on following one particular child to give you an understanding of how the play-based approach works at this stage. We hope to help you understand how we balance child-led learning through play and adult-led learning. We hope that this video will help you to see just how much amazing learning takes place in a play-based classroom. For each learning experience, we have also shared the curriculum for excellent outcomes that the learner is developing through that experience. In Primary 1, we offer our learners the opportunity to have open access to outdoors. Each child has brought in wellies and waterproofs so that they can play in the outdoors environment when they wish, no matter what the weather. We set up an exciting learning environment each morning in order for children to develop their health and well-being, as well as to consolidate learning across the curriculum. We have a particular focus on literacy and numeracy here. Each morning, children have a soft start and start the day at 8:45. This is the learner that we have chosen to follow for the day. First thing in the morning, he decided to carry on from an interest the day before. He had been designing lots of different fruits and vegetables. Mrs. Ralston, one of our Primary 1 teachers, noticed this and gathered fruits and vegetables teddies for him to use to support him in his creations. He took lots of time to carefully draw and colour in his illustrations and then decided to cut them out too, developing not only his skills in expressive arts but also his fine motor and writing skills too. Each morning we gather on the carpet at 9:15 AM for a whole class literacy lesson. At the beginning of P1 this is a short burst of around 5 minutes. But as children move through P1, they're able to sit for longer periods of time and we can increase the length of the lesson. On this morning, we practiced previous sounds and were introduced to our sound of the week, which was ng. Children learn their new sound using lots of different resources. We read books containing the sound, sing jolly phonics songs, and practice an action to help us remember the sound. We also carefully look at how to form the sound when we're writing, and we also practice spelling and reading words with the sound in it. After our whole class lesson, children can move into free flow play. This means that they can decide which area of the room that they would like to play in and they decide what they'd like to do there. During this time there are 2 adults in the room observing children and leading learning based on their interests. One adult is also outside and another is taking small focus groups for direct teaching on literacy. Our learner came to me this morning and asked me to help him find information on dinosaurs from a book that he'd found in the room. We read parts of the book together and discussed the information, as well as highlighting some of the words that the learner could read independently. Some of his friends then came to join in as they were also interested. They brought over some dinosaur toys so that we could find information on those dinosaurs. When we couldn't find the information we were looking for, I introduced an iPad and we used a search engine to find this information. This was completely unplanned and all started with our learner asking me to read to him. A huge amount of outcomes were developed from literacy, social subjects and technology through this experience. Then our learner moved on to playing with the marble run. He worked with his classmates to design a marble run that worked. This process involved a huge amount of listening, communication and problem solving. It was then time for our learner to be taken for small focus group teaching. These experiences are differentiated based on each individual child's abilities. On this morning, they had to identify sounds and splat them in the turf tray. Then they had to play a game with a partner where they were searching for words with our sound that we'd learned this morning. Next, our learner moved on to play in our construction area. He built a car garage with his peers that included a car wash and a ramp. This led to lots of discussions around force and friction, which had been previously taught during science. This was the perfect way for our learner to consolidate skills and enabled me to discreetly assess him. Communication was vital here as the learner worked with his classmates to move large blocks and to design a garage that they had all imagined. Our learner then decided that he wanted to play outside. He asked an adult, then hung his name up to go outside. He played with his friends on the pirate ship, participating in energetic play which then developed into a role-play situation around pirates. He then spent time in the sandpit where he identified the Numicon stones in the sand and then he started to order them from smallest to largest. This was something that he did completely naturally, and again was another way for me to assess that he had the understanding there to be able to do this. This section of the day enabled him to develop important health and wellbeing skills, but also meant that he returned to class refocused and ready to learn. By January time, children had been introduced to all of their initial sounds, and this meant that many were ready to begin learning to read. We assessed and grouped all of our children and introduced a daily reading slot. This happens from 11:30am and lasts until 12pm, just before lunch. It's something that we would not have been able to introduce at the beginning of P1 as the learners weren't ready for a more formal approach. But a key positive about play-based learning is that we are able to really get to know our learners and introduce new experiences at a developmentally appropriate time. At 11:30, our entire class stopped play and moved into our reading time. Each group works with an adult and begins working on a programme called WordWorks. This takes around 5 minutes and is an amazing resource to develop phonological awareness. We look at rhyming words, syllables, beginning sounds and ending sounds through this. Our learner then read a book and went on a word hunt within his book. Then he made a prediction about what would happen at the end of the book. Lots of discussion takes place during our reading time, and it enables children to develop vital comprehension, talking and listening skills. After reading time, it was lunchtime and our learner went to the dinner hall for lunch. He then went outside to play in the playground. At 1pm he came back to class and started the afternoon with a whole class lesson on numeracy. We always begin with a MathWorks, which is a resource that works alongside WordWorks. Through this, children learn to recognise numbers, subitise, build on mental math skills, develop their understanding of shape and measure, and also look at how we order and recognise our numbers. We then introduced our number of the day, which was the number 13. We looked at all the different ways that we could represent 13 and focus on how to form the numbers. Children then had an opportunity to try this on their own. After this, our learner moved into free flow play with the rest of the class. Our learner decided to move into the art area. All of the resources are open and children can use their own creativity to make whatever they wish. We also have a junk modelling area in here. Our learner decided that he wanted to draw a house in his family. During this activity, he developed fine motor skills which are necessary to write. He also developed his creativity and his focus. As he decided what he would like to create, he was very engaged throughout. Then it was our learner's turn to be taken for a small group lesson on numeracy. Currently we are learning about money. He played a game with his peers where he had to find the coin. Then he ordered the coins from smallest to largest. Afterwards, he was given money to spend in our toy shop. He had to decide what he'd like to buy and develop mathematical language around money. Then our learner moved back into free flow play and revisited the construction area. He decided he wanted to build St Basil's Cathedral as we had displayed pictures of famous landmarks in this area. He worked with a friend to design and construct their version of the cathedral and decided which blocks would work best for each part. He then problem solved how he could make the turrets of the cathedral. After this, it was tidy up time and our learner moved on to the carpet to read a story to end the school day with his peers. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our video on the day of a life of a learner in a Primary 1 classroom. We hope that by watching this you've been able to see just how much amazing learning takes place in a play-based learning environment. We also hope that it's given you a better understanding as to how your child's day is structured. Please get in touch if you ever have any questions. Thank you so much again, and thank you to our learner for allowing me to follow him for the day.